Well, who the heck are you guys then? How about you, sir? If you could just introduce the whole group, that would be great.
Okay, I'm Naz. I'm one of the actors that have been involved with Christ in the Centre that we've been doing for the last 10 years. And this is basically where the churches of Leicestershire have got together to do a reenactment of the Passion, the last days of Christ, that we perform on Good Friday in the middle of Leicester city centre. And it's something that is our way of doing outreach, really, to the people of Leicester.
Dramatic outreach then, eh?
Indeed.
Now, is that, you're the assistant director, madam, is that right?
Yes.
So how effective is dramatic outreach in Leicester?
Incredibly, yeah, incredibly. I would say, because I'm very involved in Christian drama for a long time, that you can reach people in a way that maybe a sermon doesn't in the first instance. But in this instance, we're actually reaching people who probably wouldn't go to church. A lot of people probably wouldn't go to church. A lot of people don't actually know the story of Jesus. It's, you know, we still think of this country being a Christian country, but I mean it isn't anymore. And a lot of people don't know the things that are the basic, you know, what we'd say the basic Christian stories. So just to be able to tell people.
Is this the resurrection of Passion plays?
Sorry?
Is this the resurrection of Passion plays?
It's certainly had an upsurge. I mean, over the last years, I think Leicester was one of the first, if not the first, to do this kind of thing. Just, you know, a community event out in the city centre. It's not, we don't sell tickets. You know, we're not on we are on a stage, but I mean we're not in a theatre. And we reach an amazing amount of people. Some people just come along because we've now been doing it since 2003. So some people just come along because they know it's going to take place, and it's a spectacle they want to be a part of.
Just a couple of three more questions, real quick. Is this dramatic presentation of the gospel? Is this a good replacement for preaching, or is it something that preaching could learn from to be more dramatic? Come on. You know what you really feel.
It's different to preaching. It's very different. I wouldn't say it was better or worse. No. I mean, when you preach, it's about communicating a message. And this tells a story. It's a different scenario, really, I think, completely. But it's a story that needs to be told, because it's a story that makes up the fabric of our society, even though we might not realise it. And so for people to see that visually in an age where visual communication is so important, I think that makes it so much more, well, it reaches the heart, I think, in a really powerful way, actually.
You know, you might be interested in this. I got introduced into a discussion over the Apostle Paul's supposed tent-making activities, and introduced to this discussion which said the actual word tent-making might not mean tent-making, but they discovered this word outside of the New Testament now to refer to, can you get this? Scene preparation for acting, etc. So the dramatic side of things is very, very important, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
What do you think? Do you think the church is relevant to 21st century Leicester? Is it really relevant?
I think Jesus is relevant. I mean, that sounds a bit controversial, but it's not meant to be controversial. But I think what I want to communicate to people is Jesus, not the church. I mean, obviously, you know, it goes hand in hand. The church is Jesus, but it's not a religion. It's the person of Jesus. So that's what I personally.
Yeah. and that's very much what we try and convey in this particular production, is the message, devoid of all the other trappings and the politics and so on, that unfortunately I think for a lot of people, when they look from the outside at Christianity, see the problems, the infighting and the politics of it, and it's stripping that bare. just to the message. And that's really, I think if we can achieve that, then we will have done the job.
I think that's one of the major things about Christ in the Centre, is that it really does bring together Christians of all traditions to affirm what's at the very heart of our faith. And I think that's what's so important about it, that as Nas said, all those other divisions and discussions that take place are not there. We are presenting the good news of what God has done in Jesus Christ and the gift of his Son. And that's what we're offering to the people of our city and county.
But what we have to remember, though, is that Jesus created community. And in that sense, that's where it links to the church. I mean, and Christ in the Centre itself becomes a community. It is a community. It's a living, breathing community. So in that sense, in fact...
Do you mean the actors that are involved in it, the cast?
Yes, as they come together to put on this whole... over the weeks, it develops into such a strong relationship where people live, well, they eat together, they pray together. It's very powerful. And I think for that, the church is so key. We're a community, we have a message, we have a truth, and we have to be very careful in how we should portray it in many different forms, and this is just one form of it.
Are most of the people involved in the cast Christians?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Often coming from different backgrounds originally.
Yes.
I came from a Muslim background in the first instance, of a Christian now. But I would think most of the...
different. I would say on different parts of the faith journey.
Yeah.
And I guess if it came up, we wouldn't all necessarily agree on every point.
No,
definitely different strands of the church.
But I think this is one of the things as well, if I could just make the connection, that I spoke about street pastors and the way it is Christians coming together from all sorts of traditions to witness to what's right at the heart of our faith. And I think events like this on the street really show that to the wider world, which is why they're so important that we do emphasise them and work hard on them, because then the world can see what it's all about.
But the guy that plays Jesus then, is it more important for him to be a Christian or a good actor?
What do you think?
Come on.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm asking the questions here, girl.
I think God has given us all different gifts. And as the people responsible for putting on this production, we want to find the person who we believe that God has given the gift to represent Jesus, his only Son. And we want to get that message across.
That's whether it's a Christian or a non-Christian, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Well, I
let's
think
face it, we're all
what we-
practicing to be Christians, aren't we?
But what we want, I think what we want though is a good actor. I mean, I know in the past, in just choosing someone to be a head teacher of school, I was part of a process, and they seemed so much more concerned about getting a believing Christian than a good head teacher. And actually, in that particular case, I know it was an absolute disaster, because what the school needed was a good head teacher. And I think what we're looking for is a good actor. And his sort of faith commitment will hopefully be something that will grow and develop by being part of this process, as everybody's faith development does, who's part of the drama.
But also somebody who's going to bring spirit to the role, and spirit's defined in many different ways, isn't it?
And I mean, obviously what we do need is somebody with integrity and truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people we've talked, well, I would say just about all the people we've talked to actually mention the word truth. And, you know, so obviously you don't want somebody who's going to ridicule or...
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Can I say thank you very much indeed for allowing me to be just a fly on the wall in this process. I think you're all brilliant. I think the project is immense, and I just want to recommend it to everybody. So, if you could just tell me, sir, what date does all this kick off here in Leicester?
It's Easter, Good Friday, which I'm not
The
sure.
6th of April, 2012.
So there you have it, 6th of April 2012. If you're in Leicester, come along and be
look on the
absolutely
website.
blown away. Yes, what's the website?
www.christinthecentre.co.uk.
Thank you very much indeed. And Robert Powell was the best Jesus ever. Thank you.